Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, giving our usual initial analysis. Steelers 29-14 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Trying to do the face cam again. I don't know, you guys tell me what you think about it. I know the lighting is still not the best. Maybe a little bit better, a little bit worse. But let me know if you guys like the face cam style or just the Steelers Depot logo, and we'll do whatever you guys want to do. But to the important stuff, to the game itself, obviously this game really should have been a blowout. Steelers had so many chances to put this game away, to put Cincinnati away, and it didn't happen. And this game by the third quarter should have been over, and it was close really until the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter when the Steelers kind of finally salted the game away. So that's one concern. But again, whenever you look at the games this team has lost to Chicago, to Jacksonville, when you look around the league and you see the upsets that happen, and when you just see how many close games and scores that surprise you, I just take a win however you can get it. And yes, it's fair to criticize and point out the things that have to get improved on. We're going to touch on those things in this video, but when you're playing AFC North football, when you're playing a much better Bengals team now than they were the first 2 weeks of the season, if you watch the Bengals only those first 2 weeks and you haven't really seen them since, haven't paid attention, you're not looking at the same team. They're a completely different unit, especially on offense, when they made the offensive coordinator change. So they're a lot more competitive. They've been in every game. They're a much more effective, efficient offense. And you saw glimpses of that today, especially obviously in the first half. Second half, Steelers neutralized them pretty good. So you get the victory however you can. They're not easy to do, and I'm just happy you get the win, and you create a ton of space in the AFC North. And now, as of today, and of course, just today doesn't matter in terms of the playoff picture, but you're in first place in the AFC, as a conference. So, offensively, the Steelers, again, it's a good place to be when you can have a lead for most, if not all, of the game, and sit on that and use the run game to your advantage and wear teams down. And, the Steelers, while generally have struggled against 4-3 teams, in the past, they always run well against Cincinnati because I think they're just a known team. You know how to stop them, neutralize their defense, and get your ground game going. And the biggest key to that, as it's been in the past, is that counter, that 22 double, where you're getting David DeCastro in space, you're getting Rosie Nix in space, you're putting the tight ends, you're pulling those guys. Again, super effective today. Rosie Nix was a man possessed after getting kicked by Vontaze Burfict, and he proved it. DeCastro had another great game. Vance McDonald had a couple key blocks as well. He's been a really key contributor in the run game the last few weeks, and it let Bell have a fantastic day. Yes, another heavy workload for Le'Veon Bell, but that's going to be required sometimes. And, I tweeted this out, and I think what makes Bell so special is that after he had that really nice 42-yard, catch and run, the stiff arm breaking tackles, that was obviously just a super impressive play, and kind of just embodies how talented Le'Veon Bell is and why he's the best back in the league. But what I liked most about that sequence was not the play itself, which I loved. It was the fact that he stayed in for the next 3 or 4 snaps. And on that immediate snap, right after the catch, he still had that burst, he still had that juice, and had a good gain. There's probably no other back in the league that's going to be able to do that. Every back after that catch and run, they're exhausted, they're tired, they're tapping out. Not Bell. And that kind of just shows why he's a guy that can play 90% of the snaps, and why, generally speaking, that's okay and that should happen. You don't want to sub him out. I thought maybe the second or third run he seemed a little more tired. They ran play action trying to maybe give Bell a bit of a break. But that first play after, he still looked the same Le'Veon Bell. It's kind of a small thing, but I thought that just kind of shows why Le'Veon Bell is so special. He can make that play where he takes a 5-yard dump off, breaks 2 tackles, and runs away from half the defense, but then he can also be out there for the next snap and act like he just didn't do what he did. So he's been really effective. Credit to the offensive line, credit to Bell. Bell was able to get what was blocked and then create on his own, which I think is the big trait that every good running back has to have. Any running back can get what's blocked. The good ones get what's blocked. The great ones create on their own and break tackles and make their own plays. And I thought Bell continued to prove that. This Bengals always take away AB as effectively as any team in the league. Brown got off to a pretty hot start in that first quarter. Was kind of bottled up the rest of the way, but he still made his timely plays, and I thought Big Ben had a really strong game. The Bengals are a tough defense to play, even if they're the defensive Steelers know really, really well. Paul Gunther's a really great defensive coordinator. There's a ton of talent, especially in that secondary. They gave you a lot of different looks. They mix up their coverages, so it can be a lot to process. And we've seen Ben struggle with some of that, having trouble with his first read if it's not there, and that happened in the Jacksonville game. The Jaguars openly talked about that. But I thought Ben was really sharp today, made some big-time throws, did well in the scramble drill, and statistically not the gaudiest performance, but certainly a winning one, and maybe, again, that in Kansas City last week, some of his better games, or two best games for sure of the season. So he did just enough, and I think the last thing I'd say about Ben is that he distributed the football. He completed how many passes today? 15? Let me look at the number, actually, because I want to make sure I get it right for the stat. Yeah, 15 completions. They went to 8 different receivers. That's spreading the ball around. It wasn't all focused on AB because the Bengals do a good job of taking AB away. So everyone got involved in the offense today, which is certainly key when you have the weapons the Steelers do. For the offense, situational football still a big problem. Red zone, not good enough. I think 1 of 3 down there today. It's got to be better than that. You can't be playing that kind of clip. It's been an issue really the entire season. They have not played up to par. They've been about average, and that number's going to drop more, being, again, 1 of 3 on Sunday. Third and short, obviously maddening. 4 chances of third or fourth down and 1, and you didn't convert a single time. Converting half is pretty bad. Not converting at all is almost unprecedented. So Haley did different things. They mixed up the running backs. They put in play action. They tried different stuff. Why Rosie Nix wasn't in there for some of those plays, I'd have to look at it. It's certainly a valid question. I think some of it was just trying to have guys on the line of scrimmage to avoid some of the penetration, but obviously Nix is playing great, so it's certainly a valid point, and I don't have a great response for it. I probably would have had Rosie Nix out there. So certainly a couple weird things from Todd Haley there that this offense has to square away. They have to show they can finish drives. They avoided the penalties today. They avoided the negative chunk plays that derail drives. It was just all on execution. 1 penalty today. That's really good to see, considering how bad this team has been, especially their first 2-3 weeks of the season. But there's no other excuse. You can't say it's a penalty that killed the drive or whatever. It's just bad execution. Red zone, third and short. Got to be much, much better than that. But on the whole, 29 points, a season high, still missing that elusive 30-point barrier. But it's a really good Bengals defense. It does not give up a lot, and I thought the Steelers were in control of the game throughout. Defensively, got off to a bit of a rocky start. The Bengals were able to get up points early. But I don't know what happened in the second half, but Keith Butler, credit to him, credit to this defense. They made the adjustments, and they shut down the Bengals. What was it? 12 total, or 12 net yards of offense for the Bengals in the second half. Robert Golden had 44 yards on his pass. So the pass rush got home. The Bengals offensive line is not nearly as good as it's been. They lost so many pieces in the offseason. Their draft picks have not played up to the level they have to play up to. And you saw TJ Watt, Bud Dupree get a sack each. That's huge for both of them. Both were on similar concepts, those TE stunts with an outside linebacker looping to the inside and getting penetration. Got to give credit to the crowd noise at Heinz Field for that, for causing the Bengals to have poor communication on that stunt pickup. A lot of times in stunt pickup, there's a verbal cue that the linemen will give each other to alert them to switch off on a stunt. When you have crowd noise, when you're playing from behind, when guys can pin their ears back and pass rush, it's a lot tougher to accomplish, and Steelers made Andy Dalton, that offensive line, pay. The secondary, you got to tip your hat to the secondary. Joe Hayden, his first interception as a Steeler, that was great to see. Sean Davis had a fantastic game, probably his best game in the NFL, making splash plays at the strong safety position, and whether that's Dick LeBeau or Keith Butler's defense you have to have a strong safety that makes those impact plays, and I thought Davis did that time and time again, and he's been on the rise since that Jacksonville game where he played a really bad game that was ended by his poor effort on the Leonard Fournette 90-yard touchdown run. Since that point, he's kind of been able to rise to the moment, and that's impressive to see from a young guy. Again, AJ Green, you can say he was shut down. It wasn't even that he was slowed down and contained the way that the Bengals did to Antonio Brown. AJ Green was shut down, and it happened last year too. With 3 catches this Sunday, I think 2 catches in the matchup he played against them last year. No touchdowns, not a lot of big plays, nothing over the top. That's as good as it gets. to take down a top 5 receiver in the game, and that's how I characterize AJ Green as probably the 4th or 5th best receiver in the NFL. So again, already Joe Hayden, Mike Mitchell, Sean Davis, Mike Hilton. Obviously, Hilton didn't really cover Green a lot, but just the whole secondary as a whole did a fantastic job. And the problem with the Bengals offense is when you lose AJ Green, when he's not going to be a factor, when the run game isn't much of a factor because of the score, they don't have the secondary weapons. There is no Tyler Eifert. There is no John Ross. LaFell is their number 2, which kind of tells you all you need to know. Tyler Boyd hasn't played the way they want to. So, they just don't have any other options, and the offense goes into a shell, and that's exactly what happened. So credit to the second half adjustments, being able to plaster and cover, the pass rush getting home. No, not a lot of missed tackles, not a lot of big explosive plays in the run game. The one by Mixon, but you take it. So big turnaround, big accomplishment, big adjustment, and big results for the Steelers defense. They stepped up time and time again, but the offense could not put the game away. The only, I think, big gripe really defensively is the goal line defense. Something's got to give. You can't have the results that you're having in the goal line defense. It's been 5 snaps for the goal line defense this year. There's been 5 touchdowns off of that. It's just unacceptable. So it's tough to make changes personnel-wise. You only have so many players for a defense like that. I don't know if you just go with a 3-4 or go with a 3-5. They ran a 3-5 once this season, or you mix something up, though. Something's got to give. That play action is the exact same concept that they got burned by Adam Shaheen in Chicago back in, week 3. And it was the same thing that Tyler Kroft caught Sunday. So it's got to get cleaned up. It's got to be better than that. I know goal line is tough. I know the ball's been at the 1-2 yard line. The percentage for the offense to score is high, but fourth and goal play like that, you got to make a play. And this goal line defense has fallen flat on its face. Special teams, really good. Chris Boswell, got to mention him. 5 of 5. He was money again, bailing out an offense that could not finish the game, put it away. Rob Golden, that was a great play. That floater to Darius Heyward-Bey. The return game was strong. I don't think any missed tackles there. Alex Erickson, the Bengals return guy, is really impressive. Probably a top 3 or 4 returner in the NFL. He does kicks and punts, and he was pretty much bottled up. I know Jordan Berry didn't have the greatest game overall, but I thought directionally he was good. The punt protection was really solid. Even when back up, there was no pressure at all. Operations of those things seemed really clean, so minor stuff there, but that's really huge. When things go wrong, and nothing went wrong, I thought, in special teams today. So that's certainly a victory there as well. I think I'll wrap this thing up. I'm talking way too long, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below, whether you're watching on YouTube or if you follow me on Twitter, if you're reading and watching this on Steelers Depot, however you follow me, go ahead and reach out and let me know your thoughts on the win and what's going to happen. Next Sunday is the Lions. They'll play the Lions on Sunday night, I believe. So another night game. Not a lot of 1 o'clock games left. Two 1 o'clock kickoffs for the season, which is pretty crazy considering how early we still are. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.